What's up, guys? This is Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. I'm also going to talk about some big news coming out for Tesla stock. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. So Tesla stock is showing some weakness right now. We're down about 3.5%, despite the fact that SPY and the QQQ are down 0.3 and 0.7%. Overall, Tesla did dip down towards this 440 area. I mentioned if we lost 450, expect a bigger move down. And we're trying to rebound a bit off 440, but keep in mind there is still a gap to fill at 434. So that does still open doors for more downside potential for Tesla stock. Now, there's been some news that came out that was negative, which is part of why Tesla is showing some weakness. Tesla is recalling almost 6,200 Cybertrucks in the USA because of a detached light bar that could fall and pose a road hazard for other vehicles, according to the NHTSA. Tesla has to either install an additional mechanical attachment or replace the light bar for free, according to the NHTSA, and that's part of why we're seeing some downside, alongside the fact that, with everything that's going on with President Trump meeting up with Xi Jinping, the president of China, and basically the meeting was progressive. It did once again help to make important deals and negotiations come through. But once again, it didn't really have that major wow factor that would have sent the market to skyrocket. We didn't really see a big deal with Nvda or anything like that. And that's part of why the market's also dipping. The market's kind of like flat right now, but Tesla is a bit more in the red because of all that negative news that's been coming out. Now, there's more news coming out that Tesla's going to be showcasing its Cybercab at the China International Import Expo in Shanghai. That's going to be running from November 5th through the 10th, marking the robotaxi's debut in the Asia Pacific area, at least for this event. Now, keep in mind that despite this, it's unclear if Tesla has plans to roll out its Cybercab on Chinese roads. I do believe that one day that could happen, but as of right now, I don't believe Tesla has the plans like right now to do that. But they are going to once again display this, and they're going to once again get more exposure thanks to that. And one day it might become a reality, right? The Cybercabs could be operating in China as well, alongside the US and many other parts of the world, right? This is not just an American thing. This could go global once the technology continues to develop and we see these become a lot more autonomous. So that's very awesome news. I think this could just be a hint for the future. But as of right now, it's just going to be displayed and it's not necessarily fully launching there, at least quite yet. So that is still some decent news for Tesla, despite the fact that the share price is currently kind of down. So we now have resistance at 445 and 450. But if we lose 440, we're looking for a dip to fill the gap towards 434. Tesla's range bound right now. It's trying to bounce off 440 for a small push, but then there is a risk of it rejecting and coming back down to fill the gap at 434 in the upcoming days. So be careful with Tesla on the 4-hour time frame. When we zoom in and go to the 30 minutes time frame, Tesla's been downtrending for the majority of the day. It is trying to bounce off 440 for a temporary move up, but then this could reject again if we see some more downside. So be careful. Watch 445 and 450 as our resistances. We need to get back above 450 to see a bigger bounce. If not, this might just make another lower high and continue to reject. And don't forget, there is still that big gap to fill down here around this 434 area, which is why Tesla still has some more downside risk. SPY, on the other hand, has been more choppy, but notice that we're struggling to break past 686. We're also not breaking past our EMAs right here, so this could be a sign of weakness developing on SPY. And since yesterday, SPY has been starting a bit of a downtrend. We have a left shoulder, head and right shoulder like pattern developing, and we're making lower highs. So overall, the trend is starting to shift more bearish. Now, we're not necessarily tanking yet unless SPY ends up losing like 682 and we fail to hold above that. Then yes, we could be dipping a lot more. We're very choppy right now on SPY, but there is some downside risk, at least for the trend. Same thing with the QQQ. We're just making lower highs unless we get back above 632. It's going to likely consolidate. And then I do think there is a downside risk, especially as we have a gap to fill below. So watch that 629 area. If it doesn't hold, I could see this speed dipping back down to like 625. On the IWM, we're actually making lower highs right here. We have resistance right here at 248. But if we break this, it's going to be a lot more bullish. If we don't, we might kind of consolidate and then continue to reject back down to 245. ES is showing some weakness. It's consolidating around 6,900. But if we can't hold that for a 4-hour close, there is still a head and shoulders like pattern developing, and that could favor more downside soon. NQ, same thing. There's a head and shoulders like pattern. Our main support is at 25,982. We're still consolidating around here, but if we lose this, there is going to be some downside risk. Bitcoin is on a downtrend unless we get back above 109,000. We're going to likely retest this and continue to fall back down to 106,000. Tesla, like I said before, although it's trying to rebound a bit, be very careful the closer we get to 445 or 450 because we could reject in that range. And then there is still this gap to fill back down to 434. So just a quick reminder, Nvidia is kind of flat right now. We did not get a big piece of news for Nvidia. Could retest like 204, but then keep in mind we're starting a bit of a downtrend right here. Unless we get back above like 208, we're favoring a risk for 200 flat. Apple's flat right now. We have resistance around 272. We're struggling to break past this. If we can't break it, we could retest 270, so be very careful. For Palantir, we're very, very much just consolidating. If we lose 196, we're looking for a bigger dip. If we break past 200, we're going to be more bullish. As of right now, I expect this to consolidate, and we'll see what happens as time goes on. Now, AMD looks a bit more bullish. We're looking for 262.5 as a resistance, and we'll see if you reject. There is still some upside potential, though. Coinbase is on a downtrend. It's been making lower highs for the last 4 days, and it's still continuing to downtrend. We got to reclaim at least 245 to bounce. If not, it's going to continue to consolidate and possibly dip to fill this gap towards the 325 area. Excuse me. Amazon has a head and shoulders. We're going to see if 225 holds. If not, there's downside risk for 223 or below. But then keep in mind we have earnings, so nothing is guaranteed yet. Meta dumped quite a bit. It's trying to balance, but so far we have not been able to reclaim around this 690 area. There's also resistance at 682. So be careful with Meta right here at resistance. We're going to see if it rejects or not. Google is showing some weakness. We now have support down here around this 284 area. We're going to see if this holds. If not, could be dipping more. Microsoft is making lower highs unless we hold above 532. If not, we're going to be at risk of dipping to like 519. And that's pretty much it for now. Now, the VIX is kind of flat right now. It needs to get back above like 17.14 to break out more. Otherwise, it's just consolidating, just as the market has been consolidating. But I do see some weakness in SPY and the QQQ with the head and shoulders like pattern developing on SPY. And then for Tesla, although it's been trying to bounce, it already dumped so much. We're actually down like 3.5% still. Don't forget, there is this gap down here. So there is still some downside risk for Tesla stock. With that being said, I thank you all so much for listening. I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your guys' days. This is your update for now, and be very, very careful with the markets right now. I just want to say that Tesla is showing some more weakness, but SPY and the QQQ do have a lot of chop right now, so it's really affecting premiums. But overall, the trend is beginning to shift, so watch your levels for confirmation, and then be very careful with the way at which you're moving. The market could be looking for more downside in the future, looking at how we're moving so far, but do not necessarily bet everything on it. You always want to just manage risks just to be safe and be very, very careful and disciplined with the way in which you go about things. All right, thank you for listening. Peace out.